I recently played the Final Fantasy 16 demo, and I am pumped to get back in there and play on release day. And with that, I walked away with a few thoughts that I thought might help any of those who might be kind of on the fence about whether or not Final Fantasy 16 is the right game for you. So let's waste no more time and jump into it. I'll get the more obvious one out of the way first, and that is its rating. Sitting at a mature rating, this will be only the third Final Fantasy title that's donned that M rating. Final Fantasy Type 0 and Strangers of Paradise being the other two. So, this is technically kind of the first numbered Final Fantasy to get an M rating. That's pretty cool, and I thought it was worth a mention, as there were actually some pretty gory sequences and cutscenes, as well as frequent profanity. Nothing that bothers me personally, and I'm all in for this, as it adds a much more realistic element to the emotional moments. But if some of you aren't here for that kind of thing, it's good to know it's going to be throughout the game. Speaking of cutscenes, the next thing you should know is that this is a very heavy story-driven game. And if you're like me and have played Final Fantasy games in the past, you're probably coming for this story anyways. And this one's gonna be good. We were left on the edge of our seats at the end of the demo, and as a bonus we get to pick up where we left off when the full release comes out. Now if you have the expectation for watching a lot of cutscenes, then this should be no concern for you. However, to put this into perspective, I'd say about 60-70% of the demo was cutscenes, with some combat moments and walking around in between. Now I would say take this with a grain of salt, as this is just the beginning of the game, and they have a lot of foundation to lay out for the story. I have a feeling the cutscenes will scale back as we progress. But again, this has been a great story so far, so I won't be complaining when I run across more cutscenes. The next thing to know about is combat. I talked about this in my previous State of Play video for Final Fantasy 16, so if you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description. The combat is making a big shift away from the turn-based system that we've seen in the past with Final Fantasy games. With big moves from Final Fantasy 15 and 7 Remake, with the ARPG combat paired with the time-slowing features to signal commands, even that is gone here. We're getting real-time combat, commands, and decision-making. And with the cinematic battle sequences, it offers non-stop action from the start of the fight until the end. However, they did recognize that some people may want that slowing effect for their gameplay, so they provided what's called timely accessories that offer time-slowing effects for features like dodging, healing, and more. But again, that's totally optional for the players that want to use it. And speaking of combat, this leads me to my fourth thing to know, and that is that there is no longer a party that you command or cycle between while playing. Instead, you sometimes have AI-controlled companions that appear throughout the story, as well as your loyal hound Torgal, who sticks with you for a majority of the time. He more closely functions as a companion, with select moves to use in real time, similar to Atreus in the new God of War series. And for my final thing to know, this is not going to be an open world. You will very much follow a path with the storyline, taking you through different zones. Now you do get a map of the zones and features like the hunt board, which will allow the ability to hop between zones after you discover and beat their questline, offering up some exploration for the nooks and crannies that you missed on your first playthrough, as well as additional content afterwards. But if you were looking for that open world feel like we had in our previous Final Fantasy 15, well, we simply won't be getting that. So that's it. I hope this information helps some of you who may or may not be on the fence for Final Fantasy 16. And if any of you have any tidbits you think we should know, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. Thoughts, concerns, or just want to hype it up and talk about it. And if you guys want more game news, reviews, and deals, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Happy gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.